the Callaway Elyte, the Ping G440, the Srixon ZXi, and the TaylorMade Qi35. These are just some of the drivers that have been recently added to the USGA's Conforming Driver Clubhead list, which means they are now legal for play in all sanctioned tournaments and events. Now, the brands haven't really talked about them yet. We don't have the official details that we can share at this point. However, we do have notes about them from the USGA, and the USGA has provided us with images. So, based on history and based on what we can see, there are a lot of things that we can tell about these clubs already. So let's take a look. Okay, so going in alphabetical order, we'll start with the Callaway Elyte. And right away, there's a lot of things that we can tell about this golf club and several things that unfortunately we can't tell about this golf club based on the USGA's photograph. Now, right away, you can see that there are 3 different weight ports and what appears to be a very large weight in a setting that is referred to as neutral. Now, that is nothing new for Callaway drivers to have a movable weight. You can see that there is one out towards the toe, a setting out towards the toe labeled fade, the neutral setting, and a draw setting. So obviously right now, with the Elyte driver, we have got a 3-setting adjustable weight that's going to allow you to create either a draw or a fade bias. We can see there's an adjustable hosel mechanism in there. There also appears to be a circular area, probably some type of a weight that is behind the leading edge in the front section of the sole. In many cases, that can be a movable weight. It also can be an adjustable weight that allows fitters to change the swing weight of a driver like this. Now, we don't have any information as far as carbon fiber panels or anything else on there, but it's interesting to take a look at the notes that go along with this driver in the USGA's notes on the Conforming Driver Clubhead list, because according to this, on the face of it, there are the words AI 10X face, and the AI is capital A, lowercase I, and that is exactly what we saw this last summer with the new Apex AI irons, and we have seen that also in Odyssey putters, Odyssey obviously being the putter arm of Callaway, and AI standing for artificial intelligence, and so it stands to reason that the face of this, we're going to get another artificial intelligence story with the face of the Elyte driver. Now, exactly what the 10X means, we don't 100% know, but right away we know that this driver certainly appears to be the sort of up the gut, if you will, or the standard issue when it's going to have movable weights. When I transfer over, and when I move over now to the Elyte, and then you can sort of see there are 3 little insignias underneath the word Elyte. Obviously, that is 3 diamonds, the triple diamond. In Callaway parlances, triple diamond means low spin. This is usually a tour model or a better player's model. It sometimes is smaller in size, in volume, rather than 460cc, going sometimes down to 450 or 445. And now instead of a movable weight in the back, we see that we've got 2, what I'm assuming are going to be 2 weights. Callaway used to have a line called Sub-Zero, and Sub-Zero had 2 weight ports, one in the front and one in the back, and it allowed you to sort of flip-flop a heavier and a lighter weight to create a lower, sort of more penetrating ball flight, along with lower spin, lower launch angle, or to be able to move it into the back to get a little bit more lift, a little bit more spin and sort of forgiveness. I'm imagining that that's probably what we're going to get here. Again, we see the adjustable hosel mechanism with this, and when we take a look inside some of the notes with the triple diamond, again, it has the AI 10X face. So it would certainly appear that that's going to be a story that's going throughout the Elytes. It's going to be a artificial intelligence story as it relates to that face. Again, very, very difficult to sort of tell in these photographs how much carbon fiber. We've seen large carbon fiber panels in Callaway drivers, both on the crown as well as in the sole in the past. If transitioning now to this driver, this is the Elyte X. And you can see it appears that we now have 2 weight ports, one that's neutral and one that is set into a draw setting. So I'm guessing that this is going to be probably a full 460cc head. Again, that AI 10X face is marked in the notes section from the USGA, but now you're not going to be able to get the fade bias. This is probably going to be some type of a draw biased club, because obviously you're going to be able to move that weight either keep it in the back where you're going to be maximizing out the moment of inertia, the MOI of the club, so a stability story, or moving that weight into the draw setting to help people who are suffering from a slice. The last of the Elyte drivers is the Elyte Max Fast. Now, Max Fast has taken over from what Callaway used to use as Star, which is an extremely light build. So typically a slightly lighter head with a lighter shaft and a lighter grip. And these clubs are designed for players who struggle to generate a lot of club head speed. Moderate and slower club head speed players, they're typically only offered in higher lofted versions. You're not going to see, for example, an 8-degree max fast. According to the USGA, it's 9.5, 10.5, and 12 degrees. And along with that adjustable hosel mechanism, it's going to help players to maximize out carry distance. And for slower and moderate club head speed players, maximizing out carry distance tends to maximize out overall distance. It can be a really beneficial thing. So 4 drivers in the Elite family from Callaway. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the first ping driver. There are 3 different ping drivers that are labeled G440 that have recently been added to the USGA's Conforming Driver Clubhead list. The first we're going to look at is G440 Max, and we have a lot of stuff that we can talk about here. G440 Max we can assume is going to be taking over for G430. Max in ping language typically means something that's going to have a high MOI, high level of stability. Now we can take a look in the back, and again, like we saw with the Callaway Elyte, there appears to be a 3-position weight. We can see clearly there's a weight. It says tungsten right on it. We have draw and fade settings that are right in there, as well as a central location. Now the central location will be the one that probably maximizes out the moment of inertia and the level of stability. But players and fitters, it looks like, will be able to put in a draw and a fade setting. And again, by having that weight all the way in the back, you're still going to be maintaining a high level of stability, a high MOI story, while getting that draw or the fade bias. Now, there does appear to be an adjustable hosel mechanism that is in here, so you will be able to increase or decrease the stated loft. And typically, pings, adjustable hosels also allow players and fitters to make the lie angle a little bit more flat, which can be really helpful for people. But what's worth noting is out there on the toe, you can see where it reads Carbon Fly Wrap. Now, Carbon Fly Wrap is a type of carbon fiber crown that Ping has been bringing out over the last couple of seasons. Typically, it has been into the LS models, the low spin versions, and we're going to get to that in just a second. But instead of having a flat top added onto the top of the Ping drivers, the Carbon Fly Wrap models have a carbon fiber crown that's going to literally wrap into the toe and into the heel section and sort of wrap around. It's going to reduce a significant amount of weight in the center of the golf club. And that's really the key. Is you want to get weight back and you want to get weight in the front. You want to take as much weight as you can out of modern drivers from the center. And that's a way that Ping is able to save a lot of weight and now has been using carbon fiber. So we can sort of see in this Max model, Carbon Fly Wrap that's going to be there. We can also see pretty clearly written behind the leading edge on the sole in the front, it says forged face. And again, we can probably assume that this is going to be a titanium construction. Ping has never done anything but titanium constructions when it comes to driver faces. So a lot of stuff that's going on here with the G440 Max. As we transition into G440 LST, LST in Ping language stands for low spin tech. So this is going to be a driver that will probably be very popular out on the PGA Tour and amongst elite golfers, heavy hitters, because it's going to probably be the spin reducing version of G440. But once again, we see a tungsten weight with a draw and a fade bias. I'd be very curious to see if it's the same amount of weight that we saw in the Max. I would guess, and this is 100% a guess, I would guess it's probably a little bit lighter weight, because usually to lower spin and lower launch angle, you're going to push a little bit more weight forward. It can sometimes mean that you're trading off just a little bit of the stability, and that's something that Ping does very begrudgingly. But by having some weight out in the back, along with those settings, that more accomplished golfers, better players, they tend to need a lower spin product, and this might be the way that Ping is going to be able to go about doing it. Again, we see Carbon Fly Wrap, we see forged face, we see the adjustable hosel mechanism within the LST, and then finally when we shift over, SFT. SFT versions, as we see in G440 here, stands for straight flight technology. This is a slice reducing type of a story, or at least historically it has been. We can see that there is a large weight in the back, but instead of it being draw and fade, it is now draw and draw plus, along with a couple of those other things. So It looks like this is a draw-only version, which would make sense if it was going to be an SFT style head. We see dragonfly wrap, we see forged face, we can sort of see the adjustable hosel mechanism. We don't have any other information really about this golf club or about the other Ping drivers, but I think it's really interesting. We're getting carbon fly wrap, movable weight, obviously adjustable hosel mechanisms from Ping in the G440 lineup. Next, we're going to go into 3 different Srixon drivers. Now, Srixon is going to have these 3 drivers, and it's going to be very interesting to sort of see how they are clearly set up for 3 different types of players. The first one, the ZXi, obviously has a couple of weights in the back section in the heel and the toe area. One, it appears to be labeled as 4 grams, the other one being 10 grams. And obviously those look like the same shape to me, so you should be able to flip-flop those to create either a draw or a fade bias. But by positioning both of those weights in the back section, heel and toe, you should be able to elevate up the moment of inertia so that you're going to have a level of stability or an enhanced level of stability on off-center hits to go along with that shot shaping. So this looks like it's going to be the type of driver for people who are looking for adjustability going left and right. We see an adjustable hosel mechanism here, but again, in these types of photographs, very difficult to tell exactly what the composition of the head is going to be, how much carbon fiber there might be, how much titanium there might be, other types of materials that are going to be there. As we transition then into this driver, going from left-right adjustability, clearly with this LS model, and I think we can all assume that LS stands for low spin, we've now got up and down levels of adjustability. We see a 10-gram weight in the front, we see a 4-gram weight in the back, and clearly you looks like you're going to be able to flip-flop those to create a lower launch angle, lower spin, probably enhanced ball speed story when you have the 10-gram weight in the front. Put the 10-gram weight in the back, move the 4-gram weight up in the front, and you're going to get a little bit of a boost in spin and launch angle, likely stability as well. We see the adjustable hosel mechanism here, but we really don't have a lot of other information that we can draw on. But it makes sense to have one driver with left and right adjustability, one driver that's going to have up-down adjustability as far as it goes with spin. Okay, so then we move into this driver. This is going to be the ZXi Max. And I can tell you that while it may not look like there's a lot going on with this driver, I think we can all pretty much assume that Max is going to mean the maximum level of forgiveness, the maximum level of stability. Now, there does not appear to be any movable weights that are on this driver, but taking a look at the USGA notes, it does say that with the ZXi Max, that in the back there is going to be a weight port. It says Srixon in a couple different places. Up on the crown there's going to be sort of what it refers to as an alignment that says star frame. There's a loft orientation indicator, and in the back there is a weight port. So that back section there is likely going to be housing a large weight, I would assume. And by putting that much weight in the back center section of the sole, you are going to be maximizing out the moment of inertia. This is going to be, I would suspect, the most stable of the ZXi drivers that is going to be in this release. Now this driver right here I think is also pretty interesting because this one is labeled as a ZXi LS Diamond. Now exactly what that's going to mean I'm not 100% sure, but you can see visually it has a very different look. We still have the 10-gram and the 4-gram weights that go forward and back. So again, I would assume that this is going to be an up-down adjustability story, a spin killing, LS being low spin, that this is going to give players and fitters the ability to potentially change the launch angle, the spin rate, potentially the ball speed, and to refine it in here. I think it's worth noting that we don't always know that heads, and there are many different heads that Srixon released in the ZXi family that have different iterations. Oftentimes, if a player or a tour staff member requests something special, in order for it to be played on tour, then manufacturers have to submit that driver to the USGA and make sure that it gets on the conforming list, but it may not end up being a driver that gets sold at retail. This could be the story that's going on here between the ZXi LS and then a ZXi LS Diamond. Now, it could come out to retail, but it would be pretty interesting to have 2 low spin drivers that are both going to be put out at retail. Typically at retail, you'd need 1 low spin driver, not usually 2. So interesting to sort of see this driver up there. Now, the last series of drivers that I want to talk to you about today that has been added to the Conforming driver clubhead list are going to be the TaylorMade Qi35s. Now, obviously, we're going from Qi10 to Qi35. So it'll be interesting to sort of see exactly why we made that jump, if there's a story there. But so this is the standard Qi35, and we can see that it appears, at least cosmetically, to have a lot of carbon fiber on the sole. It's a lot more angular also, just like taking a look. Typically driver bottoms are rather smooth. The sole is typically rather smooth. This one has a lot of angular features that are designed into it. And looking at the USGA notes, there aren't a lot of indications. According to this, on the sole, there is a weight port, so we can obviously see that. There's a markings that says speed pocket. TaylorMade has had speed pocket slots in its drivers and irons and fairway woods and such like that for a long time. That helps to allow the bottom portion of the hitting area to flex a little bit more effectively on low struck shots. According to this, on the crown, there is a T logo alignment line. The hosel has a triangle, which is basically an orientation indicator, because we can see that there is an adjustable hosel mechanism here. On the face, there's a dot. It says carbon. So obviously TaylorMade for the last several generations of its driver has gone with carbon woods. They are not putting titanium in the face. They're going with 60-layer carbon fiber faces. Now, do we know that this is going to be a 60-layer carbon fiber face? It's possible that it's different, but we know that the face itself does say carbon, so we can sort of go along with that. It definitely looks like there is room for a weight port in the back of this driver. So now as I transition then into this photograph, this is the Qi35 Max. And as you, I'm sure, recall from last year, we had TaylorMade's first 10K MOI driver. And that means that the combined MOI, the moment of inertia, going from heel to toe as well as from top to bottom, exceeded 10,000 grams per centimeter square. And you can see right here on the bottom, it looks like we see 10 kg-cm squared. So I would assume that this is once again going to be a 10K driver. If you were a golfer who struggles with stability, if you hit it all over the face, drivers that are these 10Ks, that are the ultra high MOI drivers, they are especially stable. They're especially good at straightening out mishit shots around the face. Again, it looks like there's a significant amount of carbon fiber. We do not see any type of a weight in the front here. In order to achieve that 10K, in order to get that much moment of inertia, typically a lot of weight has to get thrown in the back, and we can sort of see an area that looks like it would be receptacle for a pretty large weight. But again, to keep that 10K, I would imagine that weight might not be movable. We do see an adjustable hosel mechanism here though, however. Now, as we transition into this driver here, this is the Qi35 LS. Again, LS, low spin. And we see a couple interesting things here. There are two weights that are going to be positioned in the front, one sort of towards the front heel, one towards the front toe. And again, we get that weight port in the back. We still have a speed pocket here. We still have what appears to be a significant amount of carbon fiber. By having those weights up in the front, it looks like you're going to be shifting more weight forward, which should be something that's going to help to increase ball speed and decrease spin and launch angle. But I would imagine that you're going to be able to put different amounts of weight up in there to create something of a draw or a fade bias while pushing more of that weight up in the front. It does look like you've got a space for a third weight in the back. And if that is the case, if you had a 3 type of weight system, it could be pretty interesting for fitters to be able to sort of move things around and get a level of adjustability in terms of left and right dispersion, but also trying to get a little bit more forgiveness and a little bit more stability than you might get in a low spin product. It's not 100% clear at this point that that's exactly the case, but we can sort of see how exactly everything looks like it's going to be fitting up here. So a very broad offering again from TaylorMade, whereas it appears you've got the ultra high MOI story with a 10K model, a low spin with some side-to-side adjustability in the LS, and then in the standard, it looks like it's going to probably be one of those combinations of increased ball speed with a higher MOI, or a blend basically of distance and forgiveness in that version. So look, as more and more information becomes available over the course of the holiday season, and then obviously in early January when we anticipate many companies to be releasing new drivers, I'll look forward to making more videos and to giving you a lot more information about exactly what the new releases for 2025 are going to be all about. But if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comment area below. I love to answer as many questions as you possibly can. A lot of this information, I realize, is going to be theoretical. I'm making some educated guesses here. Full disclosure, I have seen some of these drivers in person. I have hit some of these drivers. I am not at liberty to be able to talk about a lot of the details that you can't see on the USGA's Conforming Driver Clubhead list. I work with a lot of these companies, and that's sort of the agreement that we sort of make. I can tell you that a lot of this stuff is going to be coming out in early January. It's going to be some really cool content and some really interesting videos that I know you're going to love. So be sure to smash that like button, which helps me a lot for this video, and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss anything that's going to be coming out in January of 2025. Have a really happy holiday season, everybody, and I'll look forward to seeing you again real soon.